Many of you may not have heard Governor Pawlenty speak, but again, I have the honor to introduce him to you. My good friend, former governor of Minnesota, and now an exploratory candidate for president. We hope he does decide to run. But I want to introduce to you a great American that's going to tell you a lot about why we're here today and why it's so important that you all stay involved. God bless you, Governor Tim Pawlenty. Well, thanks a lot. Or as President Obama would say, you're welcome. I'm delighted to be with you today in Boston Common, and thank you for being the modern-day Paul Revere, sounding the alarm and being the patriots that are going to help lead the effort to take back our country. We're gathered here today as part of an effort to restore America's promise, and our country needs it. Have you had enough of $4 a gallon gas? Have you had enough of crushing levels of unemployment? Have you had enough of a federal government that's out of control? Have you had enough of this coalition of big government, big unions, and big bailed out businesses scratching each other's back? And we're here today to tell them this message: don't tread on me. If we're going to restore America's promise, we're going to need a president who keeps his or her promise to America. Unfortunately, that's not the case with the president we have in the White House currently. Now, do you remember when he was campaigning and early on in his days as president, he had this slogan, I think you'll remember it. It was, "Yes, we can." Remember that? So when we address the question of whether President Obama broke his promises, I want to have your help and remember a new phrase. Yes, he did. So when President Obama looked the American people in the eye and promised that he would cut the budget deficit in half in his first term, did President Obama break his promise to America? Yes. When President Obama stood in Iowa and during the campaign and other places, and he said, we're going to fix this healthcare system and we're going to focus on cost containment, and he's going to do it with the Republicans. And then earlier he said he opposed the individual mandate. Did he keep his promise to America or break his promise to America? When President Obama looked the American people in the eye and said in his administration, we must pass the stimulus bill or we could have unemployment that could go as high as 8%, did he break his promise to America? Now, when he was a senator, President Obama, or then Senator Obama, said we should be against raising the debt ceiling because it was an example of failed leadership and a failure to get our financial house in order. And now he's in favor of raising the debt ceiling. Has President Obama broken his promise to America? Now, I do give the president credit for at least one thing. He's proven that someone can deserve a Nobel Prize less than Al Gore. Now, my friends, you heard a lot, I'm sure, on the news these days about Donald Trump and the message that he brings forward and the like, but I think we can all benefit by adopting one of his messages as it relates to what needs to be delivered to President Obama in 2012, and it's this: you're fired. Together we can restore America's promise, but it's not going to be done by centralized government systems. We can do it one school at a time, one Little League at a time, one PTA at a time, one church gathering at a time, one American at a time, and one Tea Party rally at a time. America's promise was first and best presented by our founding fathers, and they put it into the glorious early founding documents of this country. And there's many wonderful examples, but let's remember this one because they told us where we should start the discussion. And they said this in the Declaration: we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. It doesn't say we're endowed by our member of Congress. It doesn't say we're endowed by our local bureaucrat. It doesn't say we're endowed by the state legislature. God made us free, and the Constitution was designed to keep us free. That Constitution begins, "We the people," and it was written to protect us from government, not to protect the government from us. Now, President Obama sometimes gets confused about, I think, the founding perspective of our country and some of the phrases in these documents. For example, the phrase, "in order to form a more perfect union," President Obama does not refer to coddling the public employee unions. Now, I'm not one to question President Obama's birth certificate, but when I look at his policies, I do wonder what planet he's from. We all need to gather here and across this country and gear up to 2012 and send this message. We, the people, tell the bureaucrats what to do. They don't tell us what to do. And if we're going to restore America's promise, we've got to restore America's common sense. And let me give you a couple of examples from some basic principles. Now, this first one could be quite complex. If there's some Democrats who may be watching this on video, I'm going to say it very slowly so even they can follow along. Are you ready? Okay, here it is. We can't spend more than we take in. You can't do it as an individual, you can't do it as a family, you can't do it at your place of work, and we can't let the government do it anymore. Now people say, oh, this is going to be too hard, you know, the unions are too strong, or the interest groups are too strong, or the politics are too difficult, even in a place like Massachusetts. Now tell me something about it. I come from a state that elected Al Franken U.S. Senator. And John mentioned some of the things we did in Minnesota, but they include, and I'm not trying to be immodest, I'm just trying to show you that if we can do it there, we can do it anywhere. I got an A grade from the Cato Institute. We cut spending for the first time in 150 years, cut taxes during my time as governor, did performance pay for teachers, reformed public employee pension plans in our state and public employee benefits, did market-based, not government-based health care reform. Now, it wasn't easy. We had the first government shutdown in 150 years. I set a record for vetoes in my state. Through executive power, I unallotted more spending out of the state's budget in my 8 years than I think the total unallotments of all the governors preceding me in the previous 142 years. We had a transit strike where we shut down the transit system because we needed to get the reforms done. I had all the protesters standing outside my window, one of which had a sign during the transit strike that said, "Pawlenty is a weapon of mass transit destruction." We got a government that is now arguing about whether they should try to save $38 billion. Remember this debate from last week? Only problem is the deficit was $1.5 trillion. And then we get the result that it wasn't really $38 billion. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office says, well, it really had an impact of only $350 million. That's like taking a little, if you got a boat that's sinking, a big boat, you take like a shot glass and throw one shot glass of water overboard. We need to do a lot better than that, so we need to do more. And the first thing we should do is do not give President Obama a license to spend more money, and do not raise the debt ceiling limit. We should also put forward and pass a constitutional amendment to make the politicians balance the budget. We should also, on this tax day, remember that we need to throw out the whole tax code and start over. And one thing that I think would be really helpful is we should require by law each member of Congress to do his or her own tax returns without the help of an accountant, lawyer, or tax specialist. Make them each year, in a very personal way, experience the mindless, intimidating, expensive, ridiculous, incoherent, outrageous tax system, 9,000 pages worth, and then you'll think the members of Congress will be showing up at these kinds of tax rallies. Now, we got to simplify this a little bit, and I'll be done here in just a few minutes. But you remember that guy who ran for the governorship of New York a year or so ago? And he had his own party. It was called the Rent is Too Damn High Party. Now, we don't necessarily, understand or, agree with everything he was saying, but there was some wisdom about simplifying the message. And I think the message for us should just be this. The government's too damn big. One of the best things that we can do for our fellow citizens is to make sure that they have a job, or do everything that we can to make it likely that businesses are going to start and grow in the private sector, not the government sector in this country. And we need to ask those small business leaders and entrepreneurs, what will it take? What will it take to have it be more likely that you'll start businesses, provide jobs in our country? I ask them that every day all across the country. And you know what they say? Get the government off my back. So none of this is going to be easy. But if security were easy, everybody around the world would be secure. And if prosperity were easy, everybody around the world would be prosperous. They're not. And if freedom were easy, everybody around the world would be free. It's going to take extraordinary effort and extraordinary commitment. This isn't about easy. This is about rolling up our sleeves, putting our head down, I should say, and getting the job done for the American people. There is no challenge that we can't overcome. Valley Forge wasn't easy. Settling the West wasn't easy. Winning World War II wasn't easy. Going to the moon wasn't easy. But we are the American people, and this is the United States of America. We can do anything if we put our minds to it. Our founding fathers created it. Ronald Reagan personified it. Lincoln stood courageously to defend it. This nation, by the people, for the people, will not perish from the earth. We will have a new birth of freedom. All of you together, all of us together can take back this country, restore America's promise. Thank you for being here. We're going to make this country and keep it the greatest country the world has ever known. God bless you. Thank you for coming out today. Appreciate it.